been hearing?
So just from my perspective, I'm a rising 2L at a law school. And so just what they have us going through is obviously mandatory mask implementation. And our sections have been cut down, so our classes are a lot smaller to make sure that students have enough room to space out from each other. On top of that, we'll be surrounded by plexiglass barriers. The professors will also be behind plexiglass barriers. And each student was given the option to either do in-person this semester or virtual. So half of the students will be virtually attending class and the other half will be in person. They've got us doing, we're not allowed to bring water or any sort of food material into the classroom because that would require us to remove our masks. We're not allowed to leave to go to the bathroom. There are a lot of, there are a lot of intense changes that have been made. And the 1Ls are also having the option to do virtual. So there are going to be some 1Ls who are starting law school completely virtually. So that's another weird change.
That sounds super weird. Wow. I mean, I get the no food in class. I get the no drinks in class, assuming class isn't that long. I imagine most could go a couple hours at most without eating or drinking anything. But how do you explain the bathroom thing? I don't get that.
That's the weird one. That's the weird one. It's mostly because they've already sanitized our stations. And if someone leaves to go to the bathroom, you're not exactly sure who they're going to come into contact with. So if someone leaves, you've now kind of breached the sanitation area if they come back and they've come into contact with someone who might have been exposed to COVID. So that's their way of trying to eliminate that risk so that everyone who's in the classroom has been cleared. There are no risks of COVID because they'll be doing temperature checks. So you don't have to worry about anyone coming into contact with someone who was exposed. So everyone's got to stay in the classroom for the entire duration.
I guess I kind of get it. I mean, if there's people moving around and moving about, then more chances of people encountering each other, more volume.
Yes,
in general.
yes. That's the theory. It's difficult still, but that's the theory.
Yeah. So you said that half are in person, half are online. The half that are online, are they all people who chose to be online, or are there some who are required due to maintaining a certain capacity?
So we originally, when they rolled out that option for people to be online or in person, the school specified that if too many people chose to be in person, that would be a bit of a capacity risk. Then they would have to go to a lottery system, which would mean that regardless of who wanted to be virtual and who wanted to be in person, you would be entered into a lottery. And if your name was picked, you would be a virtual student regardless. Thankfully, we didn't have to go to the lottery system because enough students just opted to be virtual anyway. And those are usually the students who do really well with virtual classes and online learning. I, for one, am not a student who's really good with online learning, especially in law school. It's just it's difficult material to be learning, a difficult class organization to be learning virtually. So I elected for in-person classes. But so we're pretty fine with capacity because most students pretty much elected to be online. But those students also can't set foot on campus, and they can't use the libraries, they can't use the bookstores, they can't use the amenities on campus. So there's some drawbacks, and we're all on the same grading curve. So there are also drawbacks if you learn virtually and that's not good for you. That could be a disadvantage compared to a student who's in person. So there is some strange things at play with that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I imagine for you, you said you're entering 2L, right? So you've got, I imagine you already have plenty of friends on campus who you're going to see in class, you know already. Are you still going to be doing study groups with them in person, do you think?
So that's the weird thing. So study groups can happen, but they would have to be on our own time. So a study group can happen, but you'd have to have someone over at your place. They couldn't happen on campus. There are no in-person events that are allowed to happen on campus. So study groups can be virtual. They can be in person on your own time, but nothing on campus. So, and that's the strange thing, because you form bonds with people your first year just because of, the nature of law school, and, you expect to see them the next year and the year after that. But the strange thing about this time that we're in is that the people that we saw our first year, a lot of them we might not see until our third year, if that.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess if they're online and they're wherever they're from, maybe they might not even be in the same state.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you anticipate doing this throughout the rest of law school if you had to, or could you see yourself at some point just saying, you know what, I want to go online, like for 3L?
I'm thinking about possibly going online for 3L just for financial purposes. I go to law school in a different city than I'm from. So I have to, get an apartment and pay rent in that city to go in person. However, if I choose to just do online classes, I don't have to pay any rent. I'm at home. So that might be the move for 3L year. But I'm still trying to see how things are working. That's the
Hopefully we
difficult.
won't get to that point.
Yeah, that's the difficult part. It's people are used to planning ahead and figuring out what they're going to be doing for the next couple of years while they're in school, but because of the time that we're in, it's a little hard to plan ahead because you don't know what tomorrow will look like. So
yeah, of course. And those amenities you mentioned, I mean, the students who are online not benefiting from them, are they still paying fees for them?
yes, they are.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that in a lot of cases.
Yes, it's unfortunate. It seems a bit unfair, but a lot of universities that I've seen, they have pretty much kept the tuition level for students who are in person and are online, regardless of whether or not the online students would be able to use the amenities. And in some cases, I've seen that online students have been having to pay a surcharge for the software, the online software that they're using. The universities have had to buy software for the online students, so they end up paying more than the students who are in person.
Oh my God. So they're charging them for the amenities, which they're not using, and then for the software, which they are using. And I mean, I've got a Zoom account. It's not that expensive.
It's really not. It's really not. So I'm not exactly sure what the justification there is. I could maybe see them trying to justify keeping the tuition the same, but I really can't see the justification for raising tuition for the students who aren't even on campus.
No. Well, hopefully this won't last that long, and it will be a moot point going forward before too long.
Hopefully.
This is a lot of fun. You'll have to update me on what actually happens this fall when you start. I'm sure you're starting, what, a couple weeks?
Next Monday.
Next Monday. Oh, wow.
Exactly a week from now. So I'll
All
be
right.
on campus and seeing the fun in person.
Yeah. It was great connecting with you. Do you want to share a little bit about your channel and where folks can find you to find out more?
For sure, yes. So my channel is Sunny Law Student. I basically focus on lifestyle vlogging, and I also focus on tips for getting through your 1L year, because that's what I've experienced, and also tips for applying to law school, including tips to take the LSAT, and also resume builders, as well as how to outline and all of that. So it's a pretty chill channel. You can basically find me at Sunny Law Student on YouTube. I should be the only one that pops up, and yeah, you can go and like and subscribe and check out my videos.
Fantastic. Well, I'll definitely encourage folks to check you out, Kenny. Thanks.
Yes, thanks so much. I appreciate you inviting me.
Of course. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.